Hi everyone, how are all of you? Welcome to yet another episode of Doctors Go Live on Asia Facebook page. It's the age of a new norm where health precautions take priority over convenience and socializing. So since we are now in the recovery movement order control order, RMCO period ataupun Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan Pemulihan PKPP, let's take a look at the different levels of risk so that we know what to watch out for in our everyday life. Ya, basically saya boleh cakap campur-campur lah English dengan Malay. Kita akan menyaksikan bagaimana ada tahap risiko yang berbeza ya, supaya kita ni kan norma baru supaya kita tahu macam mana kita harus agak-agak apakah langkah-langkah yang harus kita jalankan untuk diri kita sendiri dengan pelbagai aktiviti yang kita harus lakukan sebab life goes on kan. Okay, and it's not all about queuing, mask, sanitizers, yang itu semua memang kita dah biasa dengar. So there is more to that. Dan untuk membincangkan tentang hal ini, let's welcome Medical Officer from Columbia Asia Hospital Ceras, Dr. Mala Santi, who will be elaborating about risk levels of daily activities. Okay, sebelum tu saya ingin memaklumkan yang para viewers semua bolehlah bertanya soalan dengan menaip di dalam section komen below. Yeah, if you want to ask any questions, you can always do so by typing your questions in the comment section. Okay, hello Dr. Mala, how are you?
Hi Puan, I'm fine today. How are you? How are you guys today? Are you all fine?
Fine, thank you. Fine. Everyone's here back at the office already full swing. We've started work as per normal. But of course we are all doing the normal social distancing. There's sanitizers everywhere. Everyone's wearing masks, So this is the new norm that we are talking about. Yeah. Okay. Regarding our topic today, which is COVID-19 risk ranking of everyday activities. Yeah. First of all, what actually is risk ranking and why is it necessary? Apa itu risiko ranking?
Okay. Sekarang kita dalam sesi PKPP, Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan Pemulihan ataupun RMCO, which stands for recovery. So yes, we are facing pandemic COVID-19. Malaysia has been dinobatkan sebagai antara 5 negara terbaik di dunia. Let's be proud all of us today. And kita hampir berjaya di dalam menangani pandemik COVID-19 ini. So bila kita dah hampir berjaya, kita kena pulih kita sebab COVID-19 ni sebenarnya sakit kan. So kita nak pulih, kita nak recover. So what recovery are we talking about? Kita nak recover dari segi ekonomi, kita nak recover dari segi activities, kita nak recover dari segi mental health, socialization, family ties, kita nak recover, kita nak pulih, kita nak cuba tuju kepada norma kita yang sebenar. How did we pray before this? How did we greet our elderly before this? Kita nak kembali kepada itu, tetapi kita tak boleh terus lompat dalam sungai tu Kalau kita nak masuk sungai pun, kita akan test water dulu kita masuk kaki dulu, kita rasa air tu sejuk ke tak, sesuai ke tak, dalam ke tak, So that's why it's very important this PKPP RMCO ni very important sebab kita nak balance in between berkurung di dalam rumah sepenuhnya and also terus lompat masuk dalam sungai. So we are balancing this risk, the extreme zero risk yang mana kalau duk kurung dalam rumah tu memang kita tahulah kita takkan ada risk langsung versus terus lompat masuk dalam sungai yang mana you ada risiko untuk tenggelam, hanyut dan lain-lain lagi. Alright, so apa yang paling penting di dalam fasa PKPP ataupun in this RMCO period, what the government would like to analyze at the end of August later is how much the society have adapted to the norms and to the advices yang telah diberi. Berapa banyak orang Malaysia ni dengar cakap, berapa banyak kita ikut arahan, berapa banyak SOP yang kita follow, and apabila kita pulang kepada hampir normal when we go into this recovery period, apa berlaku kepada figures of COVID-19 ni, apa berlaku kepada jumlah kes, apa berlaku kepada R0. R0 itu adalah infectivity rate. So the government would like to see that kalau kita behave well, orang kata kalau pantang betul-betul, nanti you know your recovery will be great. So kalau kita ikut SOP dengan betul, kalau kita ikut arahan dengan betul, most likely kita boleh pulang kepada kehidupan kita yang lebih normal di hujung fasa ini. Jadi nasihat ataupun ingatan pertama yang saya nak share pada sesi live hari ini ialah daripada Kuala Lumpur Asia, kami nak mengingatkan rakyat Malaysia yang dalam fasa PKPP ini jangan berkurung di rumah. Do not lock yourselves inside the room. Do not lock yourself, tetapi pada waktu yang sama jangan terjun lompat terus dalam swimming pool. You want to balance in between these two risks. You nak cari manakah palang yang selesa daripada kosong, tak ada risiko langsung berkurung dalam rumah sampai risiko 99% lompat dalam swimming pool. You nak cari meter yang mana yang you selesa, dekat tengah-tengah mana yang you sebagai individu selesa, keluarga selesa, masyarakat selesa dan negara selesa. Kita nak cari keselesaan tu di dalam fasa PKPP ini. So keluar, berjumpa dan cuba test water dengan society ini. That's the first advice that I would like to share.
Okay. Dr. Mala, I understand you have a risk meter kan dalam your slide. Kita akan saksikan meter risiko and Dr. Mala akan explain lah further about this. Can we take a look at the slide?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, here we go.
So, bila kita keluar, doktor suruh keluar, kerajaan suruh keluar, everybody suruh keluar, businesses dah buka, hotel dah buka. Kita tengah promote cuti-cuti Malaysia So masyarakat secara umumnya agak risau, agak apa ni orang kata cuak lah kalau saya cakap cuak lah boleh ke tak boleh ni, saya ni nak shopping ni, handbag dah putus, boleh keluar ke tak boleh keluar. You are balancing that, you dilema dalam hati Kakak Ipah dah ajak dah nak masak rendang ni, you nak keluar ni takut, so macam mana nak lawan takut is with knowledge. How to fight fear is when you have knowledge. Kita sendiri boleh fikir, kita boleh pertimbangkan risiko dan faedah, kita boleh tahu dan kita boleh kurangkan takut dan kita boleh kembali kepada normal. Okay, cara yang paling mudah objectivity, cara yang paling mudah untuk assess risk ini adalah menggunakan risk meter. So di sini anda boleh lihat risk meter low, medium, high. Maksudnya aktiviti yang memberi risiko yang rendah maksudnya buat. Hampir tiada risiko lah, kita panggil hijau lah. Kalau dia tinggi sikit, risiko yang agak orang kata medium sikit, it could be yellow to orange, dan yang merah tu berisiko tinggi. Jadi apakah faktor-faktor yang doktor dengan menteri-menteri ni suka-suka hati dia cakap ini risiko rendah, ini risiko tinggi, itu risiko hijau, tak faham orang tak faham. Jadi ini cara dia. Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, Ketua Pengarah Kesihatan Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, sering mengingatkan kita bahawa benda paling senang 3C iaitu yang pertama crowded area, tempat yang bersesak. Yang kedua adalah confined space, tempat yang sempit. Dan yang ketiga adalah close conversation, bersembang dalam jarak yang dekat. So kalau anda fikirkan ketiga-tiga C ni apa yang berlaku, dia menyebabkan kita berada dekat antara satu sama lain, dan menyebabkan kita mengeluarkan titisan-titisan daripada pernafasan dan percakapan yang boleh sampai dekat orang sebelah kita. Itu faktor dia Kita terlampau sempit dan dia terkena. So bila kita bercakap tentang risiko yang tinggi, ia adalah apabila ketiga-tiga faktor ini wujud. Kalau tengok dalam slide tu, dia di tengah-tengah, dia crowded pun ada, close conversation pun ada, confined space pun ada. So risiko mesti tinggi lah puan kan, because you have all three at one package.
Yes, I see. So macam tu lah kita nak kena judge sekarang kan, apa sahaja situasi tu kita kena tengok 3 faktor ni lah. Betul doktor?
Betul. So bila anda nak buat sesuatu tu, fikir 3C, fikir ada concern tak? Ada crowded tak? Ada close conversation tak? Dan masukkan kat mana kamu nak letak aktiviti ni di bahagian ring ni yang dekat mana.
Yeah. That's very wise. That's a very smart indication kan, so that kita boleh kira lah ourselves what are the chances kan. Doktor, kita peel one by one boleh tak? Kita tengok isu satu persatu. Kita start dulu dengan shopping.
Sekejap Puan. Okay, itu satu. Okay, next bila kamu ada dua faktor yang overlap. Okay, dua faktor overlap tu apa tahu maksudnya? Bukan tiga-tiga. Kamu berada di kawasan yang sesak dan ada risiko untuk close conversation. Dua sahaja. Ataupun close conversation and confined space. Dua. Dia orange kan? Dia tak ada lah, kalau tengok risk meter tu, dia jadi orange. Yang ketiga adalah confined and crowded space. So bila ada dua, benda ni kurang sikit lah daripada merah tadi, bukan tiga, dia dua. Kita akan tengok contoh-contoh aktiviti ni nanti, saya akan tunjukkan contoh-contoh. Tetapi ini cara yang kamu tengok. Dan yang ketiga adalah apabila salah satu daripada 3C ni yang akan mengambil apa ni orang kata, yang will take place. Only one of the C's. Okay, so maksudnya sama ada confined, it's just either one. So bila either one, bukan tak ada risiko langsung, ada risiko but it's
rendah.
Alright, when you don't have any of this, tak ada tiga-tiga ini so you are in the green zone.
No problem. Okay. Alright.
Jom.
So kita boleh sorry, teruskan doktor.
Okay, kita go through macam yang Puan cakap kan, kita nak tengok.
Boleh. Kita cakap pasal membeli belah dululah, sebab itu ialah satu aktiviti yang kita tak boleh stop. Sama ada membeli belah untuk rekreasi ke, handbag ke, kasut, tapi ada membeli belah yang memang we have to do, which is grocery shopping kan. Nak beli barang-barang dapur dan sebagainya. So sekarang ni sejak PKP sebelum ni kan, online shopping begitu popular, tetapi kita tak boleh online shopping forever. Dan lagipun masa tu tak boleh pergi kedai. Sekarang dah boleh pergi kedai, dan ramai yang telah keluar dari rumah untuk pergi kedai sendiri, memilih barangan sendiri dan sebagainya. Jadi mungkin doktor boleh sentuh berkenaan dengan isu ini dan share tips macam mana kita nak shop safely apabila ramai yang sudah menjalani hidup seakan-akan seperti biasa di luar sana.
Okay, shopping ni benda paling penting lah kalau untuk saya. It's the essence of life. Kita tak boleh online shopping all the time.
Yes, betul.
And shopping is also important sebab kita nak bantu ekonomi. We want the economy to pulih. We want the economy to recover. So kita jaga memang kita jaga kesihatan kita, tapi kita juga kena jaga periuk nasi dan juga ekonomi rakyat Malaysia yang lain. So you want to park, you want to, all those is contributing factor to economy. You nak isi petrol, all that is contributing factor. Dan shopping is important sebab kita nak happy lah kan, orang perempuan kan.
In other words, therapy.
Therapy, alright. Tapi shopping ni saya tak boleh bagi one blanket rule shopping hijau, shopping kuning, tak boleh. Dia ada different types of shopping. Okay, contoh pertama shopping di pasar ataupun shopping di outside punya outlets contohnya di pasar pagi ataupun di jalan Chowkit beli belah di pasar malam, beli di pasar basah Okay, yang pertama saya tak reti macam mana nak nasihatkan orang untuk continue social distancing in this kind of roadside punya outlets. Sebenarnya difficult. Saya rasa kalau polis traffic pegang rotan kat tepi tu pun tak jalan juga. You can't really enforce certain things, you can say but you can't do it. So this is sorry?
But we just have to try lah. I mean, it's our job to at least bagi advice kan, pesanan.
Correct. So this kind of shopping is actually it contains all the three factors, crowded, confined, and ada close conversation. So kita nak pulih kan, kita tak boleh bagi tahu jangan pergi So you can go, tetapi bila you go to this kind of places, you have to be extra cautious. Ya, maksudnya kalau perlu pergi tempat-tempat begini, yang pertama jangan bawa orang yang berisiko tinggi, orang tua lebih daripada 12 tahun dan kanak-kanak kurang daripada 12 tahun, do not bring them. Pakai facial mask dengan betul, ramai orang suka letak facial mask bawah hidung, letak kat dagu, tak jalan. When you are at red zone area, you kena lebih takut. Kita tak kata jangan pergi, you kena betul-betul ikut SOP dengan ketat.
Betul.
Pakai you punya face mask betul-betul, tangan dah hand sanitize, sepanjang membeli belah di tempat yang 3C ni, jangan sentuh muka, jangan pegang handphone. Do not do all that. Concentrate on you nak beli, you dah masuk dalam bag you dah letak, terus berjalan ke kereta anda, letak barang. Yang pertama sekali sanitize balik you punya tangan. Kalau boleh cuci, ada facility untuk cuci dulu tangan tu before you get into your car.
Okay.
Right, so this kind of shopping is great. Okay, so be extra cautious, extra careful, and make sure you have it up in your mind that I'm in almost a red zone punya criteria, so I want to be extra careful. Itu yang kita cuba sampaikan. Ini bukan jangan pergi, but you have to be extra careful. Right. Okay, so other types of shopping adalah shopping di tempat-tempat seperti Tesco, Giant, all your shopping malls, dalam shopping mall tu ada macam-macam kedai kan.
The aircon environment lah.
Correct, the aircon environment, and dekat sini usually these outlets they are bound by the SOPs which has been enforced by the MKN and also KKN. And they are being constantly inspected, they orang kena report to the authorities, majlis, the local authorities. Yes, correct. Majlis perbandaran pun check in regular basis. Itu satu kriteria, dia orang memang stick to the SOP. Dan kriteria kedua adalah mereka ada limit of people yang boleh masuk pada satu-satu ketika.
Ya, betul tu.
And then they also, yang ketiga adalah they also conduct a lot of sanitization. Saya sendiri tengok they clean up and down, they clean the trolleys, they clean a lot of things. So that's the beauty of Malaysians. Everybody play their roles, not only the hospitals but everybody play their roles. That is why we are here today. So diorang buat banyak benda yang sebegini. So this kind of shopping, I would like to categorize it as orange.
Okay.
Kenapa orange? Kenapa Dr. Mahla tak cakap yellow? Because it depends on the outlet. Ketika anda ada di situ, you might want to say it's actually yellow. Kalau waktu anda pergi sebenarnya tak ramai orang, dan kedai yang anda, so there's no crowded. Kedai yang anda pergi tidak begitu sempit, agak besar, setengah Tesco tu besar kan, setengah Tesco tu kecil pula. Alright, and close conversation ni saya still letak sebagai satu faktor. Kadang-kadang you bercakap dengan sales girl, you tanya, I tanya, Sadir dekat mana ya? You ask that kind of questions, you might get involved into certain close conversation. Yeah, and then cashier. The cashier is when boleh nampak dekat gambar yang atas belah kanan tu. Bila you beratur dekat cashier tu, sometimes you have no choice that you have to go a little bit closer to each other and then you berinteraksi dengan cashier juga. Alright, so I would like to assess this as orange. Mungkin sebab Tesco dan Giant dekat rumah saya macam tu. Tetapi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh categorize that as per your situation. Alright. Kalau
it depends.
Correct, it depends. Dia berubah dari satu waktu ke satu waktu. Nasihat yang sama juga bila anda membeli belah di luar ini, the risk fluctuates between yellow to orange. Walaupun sardin yang anda sentuh tadi telah disentuh oleh seseorang yang ada COVID, jadi orang takut, ada orang yang duk lap sardin tu, people duk spray dekat benda-benda tu. I do see that. I feel it's a little bit funny. It doesn't matter if you touch it. Saya nak ingatkan di sini, if you touch it, you don't get the disease. You only get the disease when you touch your face.
Yeah.
So the reminder is, fokus. Kalau kamu nak shopping, kamu nak beli grocery, siap. Jangan sentuh telefon sampai you sanitize your hands.
Okay.
Alright. Okay, so this is second category. Let's move to next type of shopping, my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, so this kind of shopping is lagi different lah kan? Alright, Zara, they're closing out. So there's closing sales now.
I heard also.
Yeah, you have your resort shop. Tak sampai 2-3 orang pun dalam one outlet, and they're so spacious and so big. You know, your makeup outlet, Bobbi Brown, dah ada online dah sekarang. Not so many people go to the outlets. So this is, rather lower risk. It's
not crowded.
Exactly. It's not very much crowded, not many people there. And they stick to very strict SOPs. These shops usually, even before COVID-19 pun, sometimes kalau kita pergi yang dekat premium outlet Genting and Johor and whatnot, dia ada maximum people yang boleh masuk pada satu ketika, especially when they do sale. Yeah, so they are used to be doing this. And usually they do clean at very often and etc. But please do remember, MKN telah mengeluarkan SOP bahawa shopping pakaian anda tak boleh cuba. Kedai perlu memberi peluang, have to give option to the customers yang you boleh tukar dalam certain period of time lepas you try, and then they have to sanitize that bag. And makeup items, you are not supposed to try it. Tak boleh letak trial items.
I see. Okay.
Alright, so remember that. So this is about green line. So wives out there, you can start asking your husbands that you want to shop all this.
Okay, doctor, sorry, you were saying just now about confined space too. Before this slide was shown, ada gambar dekat macam bazar kan, pasar malam dan sebagainya. Kalau those places, if it's in the outdoors, how is it considered confined space?
Because dia confined space because you have, let's say you have like 5 gerai bersebelahan each other. Imagine pasar malam. It is outside. You are in the open air. It is outside. Tapi gerai itu berdekatan antara satu sama lain, dan it's opposite satu sama lain. So all the people, they squeeze in the area kan.
Sempit lah kira.
That is confined. Because COVID-19 is not airborne. Dia bukan di dalam udara. It's droplet transmission.
I see. So when you talk about confinement, it's actually the space. It's not whether you are outdoors or indoors. It's actually the space that you are in lah.
Yes, if you have a temple celebration, a Thaipusam celebration, when you have so many people outside, that is confined. Bukan, it's not the udara. It's the space between the human being.
Right, I see. Because baru ni kan raya kan, so there are some people yang sedara datang rumah tapi dia orang takut nak bawa masuk, family semua ramai dekat dalam rumah, so they actually bring the tables and chairs outside and they have their makan kat luar, thinking that it could be safe lah, but then this social distancing tak ada walaupun outdoors. So I think this was the wrong idea lah kot.
You are indoor, you are outdoor, it doesn't make a difference. It's about how you are to each other, human beings.
Proximity.
Betul. It's the distance between each other.
Correct. Okay, Doctor, can we move on to the other, about travelling pula?
Yeah, come. Let's look at travelling. So travelling ni dia banyak jenis. Air flight, kapal, ship, and everything. But I'm not going to touch so much on the international travel sebab we have not opened up our borders yet. Pelancong dari luar negara tidak boleh masuk ke Malaysia dalam tujuan melancong, dan juga warga negara Malaysia tidak dibenarkan keluar untuk tujuan melancong juga. So we are still on we are still travelling interstate. Kita nak boost the Malaysian tourism. Kita nak cuti Malaysia dulu Correct. Sebab Malaysia agak selamat buat masa sekarang. So let's look at dalam negara. So paling common adalah bus dan juga all this yang dalam KL monorail, LRT. Public transport. Your MRT and your yang paling and the other interstate travel is your express bus lah.
Yes.
So number one, this travel, dia memang confined space. bus tu kan, it's not very big, you know, it's quite small.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's confined. Tetapi crowded tu is a question mark, sebab kalau bus tu ada 30 seat, then we allow 30 people to go in. So they do sit according to their seats. So you're not really crowded. You get your own space. Alright, but it's confined.
Yes,
Sempit.
betul.
You don't really have 1 meter to each other, but it's confined.
Alright.
Alright, close conversation. Sebenarnya memang there is opportunity for close conversation.
Biasalah tu.
We don't sembang anymore nowadays. Everybody is on the phone.
Oh, that's true also. Yalah. Kalau dulu lain lah. Tanya ni nak pergi mana ni makcik.
Exactly. So now we don't.
IT more interesting agaknya.
Yeah, so we don't really talk to each other. Naik bas daripada KL pergi Kuantan pun, you know, you don't really talk to, tak kenal pun siapa makcik duduk kat sebelah ni. So it's either yellow or orange. It's either you only have confined space, but you don't have close conversation and you don't have a crowded area, or the maximum is orange. Yeah, you ada confined space dengan close conversation. Just tanya bila bas ni nak berhenti, saya nak pergi tandas ni. Probably that's the only sentence to say. Or you know, if not, everybody is in their phone with your mask and you know you don't do anything. So it's about yellow to orange. It's about that. The other travel yang anda sendiri naik kereta anda daripada KL ke Perak, daripada KL ke Penang dengan 5 orang ahli keluarga yang memang anda tinggal setiap hari, that is not a risk in terms of COVID-19 pandemic. Bila di dalam kereta tu, you have been living with the same people. You buka
so that's fine.
Yeah, that's about green. You buka because COVID-19 is not airborne. Yeah, it's more of droplet transmission. And kecuali bila anda berhenti nak makan dekat R&R, you know, when you stop, you know, you pump petrol, and then you have to accordingly lah. You have to sanitize your hands. You know, you do all that. But traveling in the car per se, tak ada risiko.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
Motor, basikal tak ada masalah lah as long as you are not in a crowded area.
Apa ni doktor, just to recall balik apa yang doktor cakap tadi pasal travelling kan, because since the state borders were lifted, macam Malaysia suddenly dia rasa terketar-ketar nak keluar ni sebab dah lama kan tak pergi mana-mana, especially because they couldn't go back balik kampung semasa raya. So now they are all taking leave and they're all going back. The traffic pun makin increasing sekarang kan. So what are the risks of this kind of activity? Kalau selain daripada mode transport tu, tapi dari jenis activity tu macam pergi sungai, piknik dekat laut dan sebagainya, ada tak aktiviti yang high risk atau bagaimana?
Okay, bila pergi bercuti dan juga pergi aktiviti yang involved in the cuti itself,
Yeah.
There are a few categories. Let me touch on hotel and also homestay.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Alright. I am personally a little bit worried for homestay because I do not know how they clean and sanitize the place. So I don't know whether they have an SOP or a guideline on macam mana mereka kemaskan dan bersihkan homestay itu selepas satu keluarga check out dan keluarga kedua check in. Apakah duration in between this check-in check-out? I don't really know. So I'll be a little bit more worried of homestays. So tetapi saya tak kata jangan support homestay industry at all. You can opt for homestay with extra cautious. Mungkin bila masuk tu jangan bagi kanak-kanak masuk dulu. I know maybe 1 or 2 adults masuk dulu, clean all the surfaces, which are the surfaces that you want to concentrate adalah semua buttons of your switches, all your doorknob, all your tap pilih air, your tap water, and also all the surfaces of the tables, meja makan and all that. And most importantly is kalau ada remote aircon, remote TV dalam homestay tu, bersihkan all those. So those are the common areas yang infected. Dah bersihkan dengan inisiatif sendiri ya. Mungkin owner homestay tu pun dah bersihkan juga tapi tak salah kalau kita ambil more. then baru kita go ahead dengan apa ni orang kata dengan homestay tu. I'll be a little less worried about hotels because they do have some strict guidelines on how they clean and whatnot and really monitor and whatever. But you can take extra caution by cleaning sebab biasa hotel ni pembukaan apa semua tu di dalam tapi you tolong just be extra careful on the switches, on the buttons and doorknobs. Ya takut cleaner tu dia dah bersihkan dah tapi dia pegang balik pula, takut lah Alright, so you can just put extra caution there. That is number one memang tempat tinggal. Yang kedua is water activity. Biasanya kalau pergi bercuti ni kita suka sangat water activity. Please remember that kerajaan masih tidak membenarkan penggunaan swimming pool ataupun water park, theme park, sesemua tu lah masih tak boleh guna sauna, reflexology, apa yang ada services dalam hotel tu you're not supposed to use sebab kita tak test water that much yet. We might go to that but not yet, sabar dulu however, kalau hotel ataupun tempat itu ada personal pool, personal jacuzzi dalam bilik kamu, then you can use. So kalau ada anak-anak kecil, memang you nak water activity dan you boleh cari yang ada personal jacuzzi dalam you punya bilik tu, dalam suite sama deluxe, super deluxe kan dia ada personal pool, personal jacuzzi dan boleh. Pantai, air luar, sungai and all that allowed. Sebab kita rasa tak ramai orang pun yang akan pergi dan kalau you swim and what not pun mungkin jauh daripada satu sama lain. That is the logic. So dibenarkan, please take extra caution, jaga betul-betul. Nasihat personal daripada saya, bukan daripada kementerian ataupun MKN. Bagi normal adult dulu kanak-kanak, orang tua, wanita mengandung, masih cuba elakkan open water ni sekarang. Alright, that's my advice. Otherwise sightseeing, nak tengok mountain hill, nak tengok taman bunga, nak pergi tengok haiwan, that one all is allowed as long as you follow the
no problem lah.
Yes, correct.
Okay, like too much of being indoors kan, so they want to see a lot more of nature.
Correct. Go, but take the necessary precautions.
Yes, correct, doctor. Okay, about staying home, I mean before this interaction was pretty much digital kan, dengan family and friends semua. Even masa raya pun kita bersalam-salaman secara online. So sekarang ni bila dah ada kelonggaran sedikit, so we see a lot more socializing lah, dan nampak kawan-kawan semua dah start high tea lah, brunch lah dan sebagainya. Weddings pun a smaller scale I suppose, but then ada juga macam birthday parties, but they all are quite aware that you're not supposed to be around too many people.
Correct.
So all these things, but of course there are certain times that people forget, because if it's a party then sometimes orang datang takkan kita nak, some people tak sampai hati nak halang, with all this, it tends to lead to a bit of a confusion. So tambah pula lagi for the Muslims kan, it's still the month of Raya, it's still Syawal, so Raya is also part of the plan. And sekarang ni dia rasa macam payback. Okay lah, jomlah kita pergi beraya rumah uncle tu, rumah uncle ni. And we seem to have forgotten that some of these people are elderly and they are in the high risk punya kategori kan of COVID-19. So what would be your advice dari segi socializing ni, and apakah faktor-faktor yang betul-betul penting yang kita kena perhatikan dulu before we go out and visit ataupun jumpa kawan dan sebagainya?
Okay, so bila kita nak keluar dan we going out for parties, we going out for certain gatherings,
gatherings,
family gatherings, school gatherings, alumni gatherings, bachelorette gatherings, whatnot lah kan, all kind of gatherings. Walaupun tadi Dr. Mala kata 3C, now when it comes to parties and gatherings, what's more important is how many people is going to come, and do you know where these people come from? Do you approximately know where they have been the past 14 days? And Malaysia is a bit safe. I mean, we're not crossing the border. But do you know at least do they have close contact with COVID patients or PUI patients, and whatnot, So how many people are coming, and do you know everyone who comes there? Do you know them that well? That's the question Kalau contohnya adik-beradik, of course lah you know kan. Kalau auntie, of course lah you know kan. Makcik-makcik, mak su, mak nah, of course you know. If you're talking about a bigger gathering, school gathering, you might not know the 50 people that will come. Okay, so let's look at, for example, let's look at, for example, open house. Open house.
Okay.
Actually still not allowed lah tapi
yes, definitely. Memang tak boleh.
What happens is in open house, sometimes you jemput 10 orang ataupun 19 orang ngam-ngam. Tetapi kalau orang ke-21 tu datang, takkan kita nak tutup pintu. That's not. We are Malaysian, we have a culture. So orang ke-22 datang, kita kata tunggu dulu we don't do that. And the issue dengan open house ni, because you will be touching the same utensils and you makan. Bila makan, nobody is wearing the mask.
Yeah.
You makan, nobody is wearing the mask. You touch the same utensils. You eat and then you talk while you eat. So you share the droplets everywhere. Especially you're talking about parties, pool parties, birthday parties and what. How are you going to socially distance there? I can't really imagine dah seronok, weddings. Mana nak socially distance? Of course nak berpeluk, kadang-kadang saudara yang lama kita tak jumpa, kita nak peluk, kita nak cium.
Betul,
And then you're taking pictures and dah seronok bila dah seronok tu nak socially distance ni memang susah lah. And then like something like graduation parties, you'll be so sempit-sempit, one batch ada 100 orang, 80 orang, will be taking so many pictures. So these are activities that put you close to each other and you can hardly socially distance, kan? So for me, this is definitely somewhere yang these are definitely activities which carries all the 3 C's. Sebab tu the government is still very reluctant to allow this to happen. It's not allowed yet. Kalau nak buat tu maybe kena minta permission and then in a smaller scales and whatever. Dalam macam yang Puan cakap tadi, nak jumpa saudara mara in a smaller scale, 10, 15 people, exactly dengan baby-babynya berapa orang yang akan datang. You can still nak test water kan. But sebab dia red, please take extra precautions. There are a few videos that I have shared on my Facebook profile myself. Risiko makan bersedang, risiko salam and all that. You can take those precautions. You can check on Facebook also how to minimize the risk. But I want you all to remember that this activity carries red zone. Dia high risk. Sebab it has all the 3 C's actually.
Sometimes, doctor, the realization is there that in the beginning, whenever they send out the host lah, kalau dia nak send out the invitations, they will say that okay, kena practice social distancing, semua orang datang nanti pakai mask, okay, semua orang nanti kena sanitize, kita tak boleh peluk-peluk and all that. So for the first half an hour, maybe everybody is so conscious. Dia duduk jauh-jauh and then lepas tu as time goes on, everybody so comfortable with each other. Start lah, time tu dah macam okay lah, dah peluk, dah makan, dah cakap dekat-dekat, nak gosip-gosip semua. And then at the end of the majlis, habis. There's no more social distancing. Mask pun dah tak ada orang pakai. Sanitize pun tak tahu lah whether they do it or not. So it's usually because macam they realize that something needs to be done. But as time goes on, dah macam it's okay, takkan kot, I don't think dia ada COVID-19, and especially so, sorry I cakap sikit, macam sometimes dengan strangers lagi senang daripada dengan saudara mara, especially the older ones lah. Kita nak bagi tahu that dia high risk, so kita tak nak peluk dia, but it could be that dia terasa hati sebab kadang-kadang we don't know lah, sebab dia rasa tak ada apa-apa ni alah takkan kot anything is wrong with you because you are my anak saudara dan sebagainya. As opposed to strangers, you senang, you cakap straight pun tak apa, it doesn't matter kan. I mean these are just the 2 things that I observe lah. So how do we try to make it macam maintain tau, semangat untuk jaga, semangat untuk berhati-hati ni daripada time orang tu masuk ke dalam rumah seseorang sampai habis. That means the host tu memang nak kena pantau lah sentiasa kan, tak boleh Dia macam polis traffic kan, macam, ni tak boleh masuk, ni tak boleh. Like it's hard because human nature, we all are, just social animals.
Correct. I know actually bulan raya tu, sebelum raya tu, ramai orang message saya asking me the same thing. And then bila dah uplift the PKP ni pun yang boleh rentas negeri ni pun memang so many people ask me this question.
Yes.
So for me sama. If I refuse to peluk my mak long, I think she will be so angry with me. You know, she will disown me maybe. So I think the best way is prevention. So the best way is to make it lesser. Ya, kadang-kadang bila orang dah macam yang saya cakap tadi, orang dah sampai depan rumah, dia tak boleh nak elakkan sangat. So limit your gatherings, limit your visitors, limit your contacts. Memang rasa macam okay dah boleh rentas negeri, jomlah pergilah, beraya and everything, correct. Limit it, prioritize first, jumpa mak dulu, mak mertua dulu, you prioritize, you kecilkan you punya group. So bila group kecil,
that's good advice.
You don't have much. So yang pakcik-pakcik yang jauh sikit, kakak-kakak yang boleh, yang puas hati dengan video call, yang boleh ambil screen video call semua, okay, tak apa, standby dulu. Yang prioritize your visits, prioritize your gatherings. Birthday, apa lagi satu, your baby bump parties and all that tu boleh lambatkan dulu. Prioritize your important ones, bila macam yang Puan cakap tadi, when you dah masuk, or when you're in a wedding ceremony, when you're in a pool party, I cannot advise you how to socially distance. You probably will say, Doktor atau bosan lah dengan Doktor. I cannot advise so much sebab elemen seronok tu dah masuk dalam diri kita. There's so much.
Betul.
Your heart takes over your brain. You cannot do anything.
Suddenly it's free for all and everyone forgets what's going on, kan?
Exactly. So the only way is prevent, limit. Saya tak kata jangan berziarah langsung. Apa yang saya cakap adalah prioritize you punya ziarah. Siapa yang paling penting you nak ziarah sekarang ni. So keep your numbers little, keep your number close. Kalau nak berziarah tu cuba jarak kan, dalam 5 hingga 6 hari you ziarah seorang, so you tahu you are asymptomatic, then another 1 week you go another, you are asymptomatic, another 10 days you go, jarakkan sikit. Jangan back to back, dah bila you demam nanti you tak tahu you dapat daripada gathering yang mana.
Betul. Macam mana kalau kita nak ziarah seseorang yang sakit, atau kita nak ziarah seorang bayi yang baru lahir, those kind of ziarah yang it's actually ziarah do not visit the newborn babies. I have one of my good friend just delivered dekat rumah I haven't visited her yet. Do not, please nak ibu baru bersalin, kalau dia dapat berpantang dengan mak dia, very good thing. Mak mertua dia, very good thing. Leave them alone, visit them through your video calls only. The baby is not asking for you to come. The baby wants to sleep. Please leave the newborn baby. Apa dia? Kalau macam kita nak ziarah until the baby is how old? Is there like an age limit?
Mungkin sampai after PKP dulu. Biarkan sampai 31 Ogos nanti dulu kita tengok kita tengok apa keadaan kita. For now jangan dulu. Sebab you berziarah lagi, you pergi melancong lagi, lepas tu you visit baby lagi, kesian dekat baby tu Jangan ziarah baby dulu. And ziarah orang sakit, hanya ziarah jika perlu, hanya ziarah jika sangat perlu. Hospitals pun mengamalkan limited visitors policy, which try to tell you not to visit too often. It carries some sort of risk. Bila kamu berziarah, balik shower head to toe. Use strict policies. Berziarah bukan menziarahi orang sakit, bukan aktiviti berseronok. You're going to visit somebody who is sick. You want to apologize, you nak, you want to do whatever you needed to, you nak bayar hutang, you come back, you mandi, tukar baju, and then baru you go back to your family. When you visit orang sakit, strict SOP, mask, hand sanitization, everything, very strict. Bukan kerana saya risau kepada orang yang menziarah tu, saya lebih risau kepada pesakit.
Betul.
Kesian dekat pesakit tu. Kita tak nak you visit and then you bring outside punya infection. So that will cover from whatever illness yang dia ada. Dia dengue, dia baru discharge, walaupun dah discharge platelet baru 100, you know, they're still in recovery, kita pula pergi ziarah dia, kita bagi infection lain pula dekat dia. So don't do that.
Immunity dia rendah kan time tu. Okay, kita move on to topik riadah pula doktor, berkenaan dengan bersukan dan sebagainya. Boleh tak doktor beri tahu kita apa yang selamat, apa jenis sukan yang rasa macam okay, yang ni green zone ke yellow zone, ataupun yang kita tak patut langsung take part sebab dia sangat-sangat red zone?
Ya. Okay, sports ni MKN dan KKM dah ada benarkan setengah-setengah aktiviti beriadah dan ada setengah yang masih dihalang. The main reason antara sebab utama kenapa kita benarkan aktiviti beriadah adalah sebab kita nak masyarakat pulih dari segi mental health.
Ya.
Kita nak masyarakat ramai yang dalam tempoh PKP ni anxiety, nervous, stress disorder, adaptation disorder banyak. So kita nak mereka kembali kepada healthy mental sebab kita benarkan setengah-setengah aktiviti beriadah dan bersukan. Sebelum saya categorize aktiviti satu demi satu, saya nak ingatkan bahawa bila kita pergi buat aktiviti lain contohnya kita shopping, kita beli barang kat Tesco dan kita beriadah, automatically riadah ni memang risiko dia agak tinggi. Sebab apa? Bila kita beriadah, kita akan bernafas dengan lebih dalam dan laju.
Ya, betul-betul.
You will inhale and exhale deeply and longer. Okay, lepas you buat star jump, lepas you buat jumping jack, you know, you akan termengah-mengah sikit. So when you have deep inhalation and exhalation, you akan force out droplets daripada you punya respiratory tract. That is the first thing you have to remember. Memang secara umumnya aktiviti bersukan dan beriadah mempunyai risiko yang lebih tinggi sebab pernafasan yang lebih laju ini.
Cuk, doktor, on that note, macam some studios have already opened because before this ada online yoga, online Zumba sebagainya. But now some studios dah take on dia punya participants, dah masuk dalam studio, dan macam yang doktor kata tadi lah, walaupun dia orang ada practice social distancing, tapi they still have to breathe in and out, especially yoga kan, breathing deeply ni very important. So pada pendapat doktor, should this be something that can be that can be applied, that can be continued, ataupun doktor rasa for now jangan buat sports yang memerlukan kita breathe in and out in a confined space? Kira studio tu macam confined space lah kan?
I wouldn't say jangan buat. I wouldn't say totally avoid, but as from the start what I am saying, the same thing is be extra cautious. So ambil perhatian kepada space of that studio. Contohnya gym. Saya tahu ada gym yang dah buka, ada gym yang dah buka, tetapi mereka telah mengeluarkan beberapa machine. So although MPN kata 1 meter, there are studios which take effort to make it 1.5 meter radius. Ada yang sampai ambil 2 meter radius. Ada yoga centers, yoga instructors yang selama ni mereka buat indoor. Tapi sekarang indoor macam dia conduct 2 student at a time, 3 student at a time sahaja, and then the rest tu dia buat kat luar.
Right.
They want more space, you know. So I wouldn't say don't do. What I'm saying here is that you should know the risk. Tiada aktiviti sukan yang anda tidak akan bernafas dengan laju. When you do sport, anyway you're going to breathe deeper and longer. That's the nature. If you don't do deeper and longer, that means you're not exercising enough.
The whole purpose is oxygen kan?
Exactly. So apa yang lebih penting adalah kamu faham yang kamu bernafas dengan lebih dalam dan it's deeper and stronger.
Right.
And you know you can exhale out these droplets. So you tak nak bagi dekat member dan you tak nak member punya droplet sampai dekat you. So whether it's 1 meter, whether it's 1.5 meter, anda berada di situ, anda fikir. Anda buat. Anda juga berpeluh-peluh, peluh will not secrete the infection lain, tapi bila anda berpeluh-peluh, you will breathe in lagi macam tu you know, so you got to assess yourself berapa, what you want, and then bila berbalik kepada soalan perlu tak mereka elakkan, sama juga tepuk dada tanya selera. What do you want to do? Are you in the high risk apa ni orang kata category? Are you pregnant? Did you just deliver? Baru baik daripada dengue ke? So you ask yourself, if you think you're good, if you think you're fine, the government dah benarkan, but you have to assess the risk on your individual level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, doctor. Okay, then what are the activities that we have to be wary of if it's not, I mean, that you have at the top of the head that you want to mention before we address questions from viewers?
No, I can't see the question. Okay. So apa ni, aktiviti sukan berpasukan ni puan. So sukan berpasukan ni MKN tak benarkan. Kenapa? Sebab sukan berpasukan seperti bola sepak, bola jaring, sepak takraw, rugby, tak payah cerita lah ni. You are inhaling and exhaling so much and you cannot avoid touching.
Yeah.
You cannot socially distance. You have to go close to each other. You can't think about all these SOPs while you play. So kita tak benarkan this red zone ni. Kalau ada orang yang nak curi-curi main dekat you punya playground, you nak curi-curi main dekat you punya kampung, the police and the MPNs cannot be inspecting every corner of the country. Tetapi ingatlah, bila kamu benarkan anak-anak ataupun suami pergi main macam ni, risiko yang dia bawa balik tu banyak mana. Because it is great risk. Risk in what sense? All the 3 C's are there. Semua. So kenapa confine dia? Sebab dalam satu padang tu kamu kena ada 22 orang. Sometimes padang futsal lebih kecil and then of course crowded sebab you don't think about the padang yang besar tu, bila bola tu pergi kat situ, all the 22 will go there. So you are so crowded and you confine. And then marah-marah pula, you bercakap, in sports, you don't even have to talk about close conversation because you are breathing like you're talking.
Yeah.
Alright.
Doctor, you mentioned, sorry, teruskan doktor.
Go ahead, Puan.
Doktor tadi mention playground and that sort of reminded me macam children whenever they go to the playground, of course because they are children, so they orang takkan tahu that they're not supposed to touch their eyes. Lepas dia pegang rantai buayan ataupun the jongkang-jongkit ke, and then they possibly gosok mata dan sebagainya. So should the parents bring along a sanitizer and keep spraying all these playground equipment before the child actually touches the equipment?
A very difficult question to answer. I don't think it is practical to sanitize the whole utensils dekat unless you have a resident association yang boleh together do it. But even if you do it, then how often are you going to do it? Siapa yang akan buat setiap hari? And then kalau dah hujan panas nanti macam mana pula? I really don't know. If you have a close residential area, you kenal all your neighbours, you know they have not been going out so much, you trust them, you might want to let them play. But I live in a closed area as well. I still have not allowed my children to play at the playground punya barang-barang, but I allow them to play outside dengan basikal dan mainan sendiri. They play badminton with their friends, they play bicycle, they play kejar-kejar, those kind of simple things. Because they're children. I want them to be happy. I want them to play.
Yeah, correct.
So we parents agree that this is the best way to let them play. So that is less risky. Tapi kalau nak guna barang-barang dekat taman permainan tu, I would say tepuk dada tanya selera balik lah ya. You gotta know how your area is. Kalau macam kondo tu, you have that play area tu. Yang tu saya lagi risau because you ada mainan-mainan kat dalam, how often they clean.
Right.
Children comes and goes and then you have like 200 families in one condo, lagi risau sebenarnya.
Yeah, okay. So that one up to parent punya discretion lah kan, because kita boleh, memang budak-budak suka seronok dekat luar, but there are certain things that we can do at home. For instance, macam doktor kata, mainlah dengan own bicycle and own mainan yang dekat dalam rumah kan. Okay, doctor. Alright, I think we can now take questions from the viewers. We have a question here. Oh, doctor, do you want to go through the list, or maybe we have already spoken about this now.
Yeah, I think I spoke about this yang tapi kalau anda nak tahu sukan apa yang dibenarkan dan tidak dibenarkan, you can visit to the website Menteri what do you call that, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan. They have listed down a lot of FAQs dah ada dekat situ, very informative. Saya pun ambil daripada sana sebenarnya. Seperti yang saya dah cakap tadi, setiap aktiviti dan setiap sukan itu bergantung kepada situasi pada waktu tersebut. Jadi you all can assess the risk and tengok situasi pada ketika anda facing that activity actually.
Okay, alright. That's good. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, we're going to take a question now by Muhammad Nasrul Sharif. His question is, hi Dr. Mala, how frequent do we need to change mask a day?
Okay. Mask ni sebenarnya kalau kami di hospital, I'm wearing the mask. Okay. Bila I buka, I straight away throw it in my yellow bin. Sebab di bahagian luar mask ni, droplets orang lain dah kena. So kalau you nak betulkan mask tu, jangan pegang dekat bahagian tengah ni tau. Kalau you tengok dia tarik tak tali ni je. Tali ni je yang selamat sikit daripada yang ni. The surgical mask are made to apa ni orang kata, to catch the droplets. And dia 2-ply or 3-ply, dia takkan load air. Dia takkan bocor. So it stays on the surface. So that is surgical mask. So surgical mask kalau you dah pakai, jangan sentuh, you buka, buang terus. Ideally that is the way. Alright. When you wear cloth mask, ni kamu pakai bila kamu dah letak kat bawah, lepas tu kamu angkat balik, kamu dah letak kat bawah, angkat balik, dah droplets tu dah kena kat sini, kena kat sini, kena kat sini, kena kat sini. I don't know how much it is saving you than harming you actually. Saya risau je kalau tengok dekat kedai-kedai yang saya pergi tu, cashier pakai dekat sini. Saya ni gatal je nak tegur. Kadang-kadang memang saya tegur lah, tolong angkat. Memang saya tak boleh duduk diam lah. So cloth mask, mask kain tu tolong cuci setiap hari. Dan jangan sewas dengan satu cloth mask. Kalau anda menggunakan cloth mask, sebenarnya cloth mask ni is not advisable at all. Tapi kalau kita tahu terlampau ramai rakyat Malaysia yang pakai, jadi saya terpaksa bagi sedikit sebanyak nasihat dan tip. Tolonglah beli at least 3-4 mask. Lepas sehari pakai tu, cuci, siap-siap, bersih-bersih, and then sidai sampai boleh kena cahaya matahari, maybe pagi sampai petang. Hari yang kamu sidai tu mask lain pula kamu pakai. So at least 4 days once baru you repeat ni. Pemakaian mask pada satu hari tu, of course one day you bawa satu mask je kan, nak suruh tukar-tukar kan susah juga. Bila kamu dah pakai, make sure kamu tak sentuh dengan tangan kamu bahagian luaran ni. Dan bila kamu simpan, boleh tak kamu cari bekas untuk menyimpan cloth mask tu. Contohnya macam bekas cermin mata kamu. Elok-elok dalam tu. Jangan masuk dalam handbag, masuk dalam poket, you know. I don't know what's happening with the droplets on there. I get very nervous. And masukkan, bila kamu pakai balik, pegang tali tu je. Jangan pegang bahagian yang ada muka kucing lah, ada muka SpongeBob lah tu, jangan pegang. Right? That's the only thing I can tell you. Otherwise in hospital, we change it every time we open it.
When you fold the mask, should you fold the mask with the blue area outside ataupun the white area outside?
You're asking about surgical mask, right? What?
Mask yang the common mask yang kita pakai, is that considered the surgical yang made of paper tu?
Yang kain ke yang bukan kain?
Bukan kain. Yang the common mask yang kita semua, the one that is on the outside.
Ideally you're not supposed to fold and keep it back, but if you are folding, then biru tu biarkan di luar, yang putih tu you lipat, tali tu ketepikan dan simpan di permukaan yang dia takkan communicate, sebab biru tu ada virus. Biru tu ada virus, you tak nak tersentuh biru tu. So keep it, kalau boleh saya selalu kalau patient datang, saya suruh dia orang beli, dia orang cari bekas cermin mata. So you keep inside that, when you pakai balik pun you pakai dengan cara yang sama. But try not to fold your surgical mask, don't do that.
Okay, alright. Lagi satu doktor from Nabila Rahim. Hi doc, I'm dying to bring my kids out. Saya baca I'm dying, saya dah suspend. Hi doctor, I'm dying to bring my kids out to the mall. Can I do so now?
Well, there's two parts of this question to answer. Number one, you're dying to bring your kids out. I'm dying to bring my kids out as well. Tapi find out first mall tu accept budak-budak atau tidak. Sebab saya tengok ramai orang yang outburst dekat social media yang mengatakan setengah-setengah shopping mall ataupun kedai tidak membenarkan kanak-kanak masuk. That's the first thing. And second thing is berapa banyak anak yang kamu ada, boleh tak kamu handle them, and when are you going? Are you going on a Saturday morning yang ramai sangat orang? Are you going on Sunday morning, Sunday night, terlampau bersesak, cuba elakkan. Kalau dying to bring anak-anak ni, cubalah bawa Isnin pagi ke ambil cuti sikit, Selasa, weekdays, pergi mall yang tak sesak sangat, bawa tak ada close proximity, and then pergi outlets yang memang tak ramai orang, masuk dalam and spade ke, those kind of things, and then you keluar terus. There are some smaller outlets yang tak begitu sesak, and you can go like that. So you assess the risk, you boleh bawa, but find out whether the mall accepts your children or not.
Alright. Okay, we've got actually, doctor, we have been on air for 1 hour, tapi tak apa, we can take a few more questions, but let's try to keep it brief lah, maybe another 10 minutes or so. From Cahaya Kejayaan, hi doktor, kalau mandi sungai boleh tak? Kan air sungai tu mengalir.
Okay, kalau mandi sungai boleh ke tak? Of course saya jawab boleh sebab kerajaan telah membolehkan ya. Tapi kita nak faham kenapa kerajaan membolehkan sebenarnya ya. Nombor satu, sebab bila kita bolehkan pun sebenarnya tak ramai pun orang mandi sungai at this point of time. So semua orang tengah test water. So kita tahu bila kita benarkan pun sebenarnya tak ramai yang berani pergi. So and then kalau nak mandi air sungai kamu nak pergi make sure kamu tidak mempunyai symptoms. You're not coughing, tak batuk, tak sesama, tak sakit tekak, tak demam. Right, that's most important. So kalau you healthy, saya middle age woman, saya healthy, saya nak mandi air sungai, maybe boleh. Tapi kena faham lah, it's not green, it's not yellow, it is orange to red. Risiko dia lebih kurang orange to red. So you tahu lah kat situ, tahu air tu mengalir. Kalau orang yang mandi sebelum saya tu sebenarnya dia demam batuk, tapi dia datang juga dan dia bagilah virus tu kat saya. Kalau dia sihat, saya sihat, saya pun sihat lah. Macam tu. So you assess it yourself.
Okay.
Nasihat saya, orang tua, kanak-kanak jangan bagi dulu. Mak-mak, ayah-ayah dulu.
Okay. Alright. Next question from Ms. Rosita Tukimin. Is it safe for 2 persons to play squash together?
Yeah, it's safe. 2 person tu maksudnya bukan bergabung kan? Saya A lawan B. Yes.
Okay. Well, we just assume that it's 2 people lah on the court.
Okay. Boleh. Because you're far, and then you will not be bersesak. I mean, you will not, it's not too close, it's 2 people, and then it's quite safe, badminton, squash semua tu. Kalau nak main bergu pun, contohnya saya bergu dengan adik saya rasa should be okay, because anyway I live in the same house with her, and then lawan saya adalah my another 2 elder sisters, then I think that should be fine. So depend on siapa orang tu. So if you know them, they are your family members, they are low risk people, you can trust them, that it should be okay.
Okay. Alright, Ms. Shimir Izzian is asking about pemakaian mask lah. Kalau lepas pakai, sidai dekat tengah panas, tak apa ke?
Cuci dulu. Cuci bersih-bersih dulu. Rendam paling kurang 30 minit, cuci dengan bersih. Lepas tu baru sidai. Sidai bahagian atas, lepas tengah hari atau 1 hari terbalikkan pula, bagi yang lagi 1 belah pula kena cahaya matahari dengan baik, baru pakai semula.
I see.
Tak ada scientific evidence, tak ada guidelines, tak ada apa-apa tau. Cloth mask ni sebab memang tak ada recommendation untuk mask cloth ni, mask kain ni. Tapi kita guna logik yang simple lah, kita cuba minimizekan virus contamination atas tu.
Right. Okay, doctor. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for today. There we are with Medical Officer from Columbia Asia Hospital Cheras, Dr. Malasanti, dengan pencerahan yang begitu menarik sekali. It has been very informative and educational, doctor. So we thank you very, very much. Hopefully lepas ni kita semua akan pakai kita punya own judgement dan kita judge the risk sendirilah based on what you have told us just now. So thank you and have a good afternoon. Everyone. Bye.
Thank you, viewers. Thank you, Columbia Asia. I hope it's not too late to wish everybody Selamat Hari Raya Maaf Zahir Batin daripada saya, daripada Columbia Asia Management in general and Columbia Asia Trust. Kalau ada salah silap apa-apa in this session or in general,
no. Everything went well. Everything was very, very clear. Very clear. Like you said, it has made us think that it's not just a matter of pakai mask, sanitize, and then that's all. But there's a lot more to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Puan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.